Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Sai Academy. In the last class we talked about what neo-Freudians are, who the neo-Freudians are, the difference between psychodynamics and psychoanalytics, and we also talked about a little bit about Carl Jung. We also introduced what the archetypes are. We talked about how they are universal, innate and inherited patterns or symbols. Okay, so something, according to Carl Jung, it acts as a blueprint for our behavior, but then it can also manifest differently, uniquely, depending on the individual, because we are all different. So that is what we talked about up until now. We also talked about the structure of the psyche given by Carl Jung. So now that we have already talked about what archetypes are, now let's jump right into what the different types of archetypes are. The very first one, there are many types actually, but we will mainly talk about 4 important archetypes that are especially important from our exam point of view. So the first one is the persona. This is our very first archetype. So the persona is a mask. That is the important point here. It is a mask that helps us function in the society. It helps us take up social roles, fulfill social roles. Let's say of a teacher, of an of an employee. So all sorts of roles of maybe an engineer, of all sorts of roles that exist, to be in those roles, to act in those roles, to fit in, to present a certain version of yourself before the world. That is a mask that you put on, and that is our persona. So as we were talking about how the persona helps us function in the society, so it is necessary. But then when we start to over identify with those masks, with our persona, this leads to loss of our true self. So when we start to over identify, we'll understand it through an example, but when we start to over identify with this mask that we have put on, that is when it might lead to losing your true self. Now if you take an example, also this persona is formed as a result of the society, of the people around us. So this is something also you need to know. Now if an example we talk about, let's say there is a person named Arun. So Arun is an office employee, let's say. So in his office he acts very cheerful, very confident, but so that is the mask that he puts on, and deep down he is very anxious. But so he is someone who identifies or rather who acknowledges his anxiety, but he has to put on a mask to function properly in the society, the mask of confidence, of a cheerful mask, of a fun person maybe. So this is the mask that he puts on, but deep down he is anxious. But when he tries, or when he starts to over identify with that confident, with that cheerful kind of individual, and he tries to suppress his anxiety, so that is when the problem could start, because he is suppressing some kind of emotion, some kind of feeling. So that is the confident kind of mask that he puts on, or the very cheerful kind of mask, a happy-go-lucky type of personality mask that he puts on, that is our persona. Now we'll move on to the next one. Now the next archetype that we'll talk about is the shadow. Now the shadow is the unconscious, repressed part of our psyche. So it also, one important part is that it could be negative, but it's not necessarily always. So shadow is all the if we talk about what exactly they are motives, instincts, desires that we choose to avoid or deny. Now shadow is the unconscious or the repressed. Now the mask that we talked about, the persona, is something we put on. Usually we put it on consciously. We have to do it, so we do it consciously. But the shadow is, according sorry according to Carl Jung, it is an unconscious or repressed part of our psyche, because although it could be negative most of the times, it is not necessarily always negative. Now what are these shadows exactly? They are our motives, instincts or desires that we have, that we want to avoid or deny. So if you take an example, also one important point is that according to Jung, we need to confront the shadow, mostly if it is negative. Even if it's positive, it's not healthy to deny anything. So we need to confront the shadow to be able to grow, in a healthy manner. So our shadow, if you take an example for this, let's say there is someone named Ankita. So Ankita is portrayed as a very kind person, or rather she thinks of herself as a very kind individual, but she often experiences feelings of anger, of envy, of excessive competitiveness, but she is not able to accept these feelings. She thinks of herself as a very kind person, but then how can she feel these kind of negative emotions? So that is why she projects these emotions, these projection. If you remember, we talked about it in when we talked about defense mechanisms of Sigmund Freud. So she projects these feelings onto somebody else, that no, you are that maybe some of maybe her colleague or her friend is feeling these feelings. Maybe they are angry, they are competitive, but she does not want to accept that she can be kind, but then also feel these things like anger and competitiveness. So what Jung wants us to do is confront the shadow, the negative parts, or basically any part of us that is unconscious or repressed, that we want to deny or avoid. Because if we do not confront them, if we keep on suppressing them, if we keep on avoiding them, then we will not be able to grow as healthy individuals. So now on to our next archetype. Now the third archetype we will talk about is the anima and the animus. Now this is a pretty usually we tend to get confused between these. So the first point is that these are gender opposite aspects or archetypes, you could call them. So anima and animus are gender opposite aspects, and they influence how we think of the opposite gender, and how these aspects influence our personality as well. So now the most important point is, what is the anima? Now the anima is the female aspect within a man, and the animus is the masculine, or we could write here feminine aspect within a woman. So this is what anima and animus is. It affects, as I said, how you relate to the opposite gender, and how typical traits associated with a certain gender, how they affect your personality, how much are you able to relate to them, and how they affect your personality. So the anima is the feminine aspect within a man, and animus would be the masculine aspect within a woman. So if we take an example, let's say there is a man who is able to connect to his anima. So a man who is inclined towards his anima would become more empathetic. Let's say, I mean, we usually see that is how women are. They are more empathetic, they are able to express and feel their emotions, rather we would say express their emotions, while men, if we talk about, we see usually, if we talk about the Indian aspect especially, we see they are usually more competitive, more decisive. There is no stereotyping, there shouldn't be any stereotyping here, but this is what is usually observed, or let's say this is what is usually believed. Just to understand our example, so a man who is able to connect to his anima is able to become more empathetic and more emotional, connected to his emotions, versus a female woman who is able to connect to her animus is able to become more competitive or more decisive. So she does not give up easily, she fights till the end, so competitive, and she is so she is more competitive as compared to someone, let's say, who's a woman whose animus who is not connected to their animus. So this is just an example to help you to help you understand the difference between the anima and the animus. So this is about the third point. Now we'll move on to the fourth one. So now we'll finally talk about the fourth important archetype, that is that is the self. Now the self, it is the, you could say, central archetype. If you remember how we talked about that the conscious, the ego that comes under the consciousness that Carl Jung gave, so that was not the central part of Carl Jung's psyche, the psyche that Carl Jung gave, the structure of psyche, but the central part of, if you say, Carl Jung's entire concept of analytical psychology. So you could say the self is the central archetype. It is one of the very important archetypes, and what it symbolizes is many things like wholeness. Here if you talk about the self, there is an integration of the unconscious as well as the conscious. Okay, so here the focus is on the journey towards self realization. So it focuses on self realization, individuation, which we'll talk about later, which was again given by Carl Jung, a concept given by him. Then there is focus on harmony, unity, as well as balance. So the self, this is everything that it focuses on, balance, harmony, reaching a point where the highest point, you can compare it to some level, to some point, to Maslow's self-realization, self-actualization, which we'll talk about in the later classes. So you can somewhat compare it to that, because according to Carl Jung, this was the ultimate level of achievement, the ultimate level of your personality that you could achieve. Now another thing is, the self can be represented through a circle or a mandala. So you must have heard about mandala art. So in the MCQs in your exam, if you ever see the word mandala, then you know that it relates to the self. So if we talk about the self, this is what it is. It could be represented by a mandala. You know, in dreams and myths, if we talk about, according to Carl Jung, it could be represented by a circle or mandala. Also, let's say there is a person who is able to embrace their strengths but then also their flaws. Somebody who embraces their unconscious as well as their conscious. So if they are able to maintain a balance, a harmony between all of these, so that is when they are able to achieve a more complete sense of self. So that is all about our self, the 4 type of important archetype. Now we'll move on further. So Carl Jung also gave some personality types and based on his typology were made tests like the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So that was based on Carl Jung's typology itself. So let us try to understand what exactly his personality types constituted of. So Carl Jung divided his entire typology into attitudes and functions. Now he gave 2 types of attitudes and he gave 4 types of functions. Now what were these? He gave 2 attitudes, that is introversion extraversion. These were the 2 attitudes that he gave. Then he also gave 4 functions, that were thinking, feeling, sensing and intuition. I'm sorry, this was sensing was something that was given in the MBTI, but here he gave sensation. So Carl Jung gave these 2 kinds. First he gave 2 types of attitudes and then he also gave 4 types of functions, and then later by mixing these, for example introverted thinking or extroverted sensation, by mixing these together, these the attitudes and functions, when they come together, accordingly Carl Jung gave 8 types of personality, personality types. So now if we talk about what each of these types are, what these attitudes are and what these functions are. So Carl Jung mainly focused on introversion and extroversion. So what he meant by that was, so introverts are somebody who are everything, so they focus inwards. The focus is, we talk about, the focus here is inwards. They focus on spending time with themselves, you know, they focus on solitude, thinking, and or rather I would say solitude and introspection rather. So they enjoy spending time with themselves, and the energy that they get, introverts get, is from themselves, spending time with themselves. While extraversion, if we talk about, extroverts get energy when they spend time with others, you know, when they do tasks with others, when they spend time with others and not with themselves. So they get the energy outwards from others, not from inwards. Okay, so extraversion focuses on, they get the energy from outwards. Now functions, if we talk about, thinking is more of a logical kind of way to understand things, you know, so you use logic to understand. Feeling is more emotional, based on emotions, less logical, more on emotions. Sensation focuses on facts or anything that you can you know, look at, anything that has a proof of existence. So everything that whose existence you can prove, something that you can see, you can observe, that is our sensation. Intuition is more about it's about the meanings that you draw, the patterns that you observe, the possibilities that you see. So that is our intuition. So these are our types of personality. In fact, the actual types of personality was formed according to Jung when you know, combine these two attitudes and functions. So this is it for our psychological types that were given by Carl Jung. Finally, let's talk about what individuation is, and let's end the class. Let's finally talk about individuation that was given by Carl Jung. So individuation, according to Carl Jung, was a central process of an individual's psychological development. So the goal of individuation, according to Carl Jung, was to become the self. Because if you remember, we talked about what the self, the archetype called self, was previously. So self was one part of self was also achieving individuation. So the goal of individuation now is to become the self, that is to achieve a state of psychological balance and harmony, or harmony you could say. So the goal of individuation is to become the self, that is to achieve a psychological balance between to achieve a psychological balance or harmony. Now yes, to describe what this harmony is, so what Carl Jung focuses on is that we can achieve individuation if we are able to firstly integrate the different aspects of our psyche, you know, the ego, the persona I'm sorry, the ego, the persona, the shadow, and everything. If we are able to integrate, we are able to accept and achieve a sense of harmony, that that could help us achieve individuation. Also, if we are able to accept and balance, again a sense of harmony. So if you are able to accept and balance the opposites. Now what are these opposites that we studied in his theory? Concepts like the anima animus, the light and dark, you know, if you talk about the shadow, and and introversion and extroversion. So usually introversion and extroversion are more on like a spectrum, and you vary in that spectrum. Maybe you're more of an introvert. That is what Carl Jung also suggested, that maybe you are 90% an extrovert but 10% an introvert. Although there are concepts like ambivert and everything, but there is more of a spectrum. So these are opposites. Okay, this is what we need to focus on. Opposites like introversion, extroversion, light and dark, anima animus. So if you are able to achieve a kind of a harmony, a balance between these, that is when we are able to achieve a sense of individuation. That is when we can become the self. So this is our concept of individuation. So with this we end our entire approach towards personality that was given by Carl Jung. And I'm sorry, in the later classes, in the further classes, we will talk about the approaches given by other Neo-Freudians So this is it for a class today. Thank you so much for joining us today, for watching our class. If you understood, please do like, share and subscribe. If you have any doubts, please put them in the comment box below. Again, I'd like to mention that these classes are free, that are conducted by Sai Academy, but then there are mock tests, there are tests and everything that you can subscribe to. The link will be provided in the description itself. So thank you so much. Have a nice day.